Hi, I'm 5 Pound Pete, and today I'm going to be installing a fan in the front of my van. To make the job of cutting the hole in the top of the van easier, I made myself a little jig. It's 14 inches long to help me measure the square that's going to be cut out. It has a straight edge for marking where I'm going to be cutting. And it also has thickness so that I have better control with my jigsaw when I'm cutting the van along these ridges. So I use my template to mark out the 14 by 14 inch square that I'm going to be cutting out of the roof. And then I surrounded it with tape so when I'm cutting and any hot particles that pop out won't hit the paint and potentially damage the paint. I wanted to keep the inside of the van clean, so when I was going to cut the hole in the roof for the fan, I used the fan box to capture all the metal filings so they didn't get inside the van. So I used a punch to mark little places where I wanted to drill holes in the corner to have clearance for the saw blade. And then I used a pilot bit to drill a smaller hole following that marking. And then I finished it off by drilling a reasonable size round hole with my step bit. As I went along, I used a small magnet in a bag to clean up any debris from the drilling to kind of reduce the amount of filings that were on the roof. And then what you do is you put it inside another bag and you pull the magnet out, and that way all of the filings end up captured in another bag. Another trick I learned was to tape the edges that you just cut to reduce the vibration when you're cutting the rest of the lines. Another trick I learned was when you cut it out, cut towards the center, but leave a little portion of the metal intact, and that reduces the vibration when you cut these longer traces. And then you come back and you just clip out those two little short ones. Before I get off the roof and take away the blue tape, I painted the edges of the metal with Rust-Oleum paint, and used the panel to reduce any overspray. To finish the installation of the fan, I took butyl tape and put it underneath the flange of the fan, so when it got mounted on top of the roof, it was all nice and sealed. This is white butyl tape, works really well. In addition, before I mounted the fan, I built this frame, and so when I screwed the fan through the roof of the van, I could screw it into this frame to get some good compression on the fan coming through. And so I picked this low-profile fan primarily to make sure that this control knob was above the level of the ceiling of the fan, of the interior. The standard unit extends far enough down that getting in and out of the cab, I could catch that knob on my head and would not be pleasant. So the low-profile fan primarily allowed me to get that control knob recessed above the level of the ceiling. A couple other advantages: it's less wind noise and better gas mileage, and it's a little more stealthy from the outside. But those are minor. The real reason was to make sure that this knob got recessed up into the ceiling. So after the ceiling panel gets installed, you measure it, and you take the garnish ring and you cut it to the height you need to actually be snug up against the ceiling. And I'm not going to do that until I get the panels up. The other thing is, before I put this in place, I'm going to put a series of magnets around it so that this cover it's reflective on one side, black on the other, can just easily be snapped into place to block, as a blackout, because the light comes through the fan housing, and also insulation, so that when we're camping in colder weather, this provides some insulation and keeps the interior of the van warmer. So that's the last piece of the puzzle here. When I went to install the garnish ring into the ceiling, I discovered that the sides of the garnish ring were tapered. And so after I cut it to fit the look profile of my ceiling, I discovered that it was too wide to fit into this fan housing. And so what I ended up doing is softening the corners with a heat gun and then reducing the radius a little bit on all four corners, which brought the walls closer together so that it would fit. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned some tricks to make your van easier to build. And I encourage you to watch some of my other videos. And thank you for watching, and good luck with your van build.